I'm Jessica Larche. Coming up, the 4 factors that can turn a dip into a drowning. It's a race against time to bring the color of justice to families still crying out for answers. Put a cap on erasing graffiti for good. I exposed the 2 key issues crippling Jackson cops from catching culprits.
Is it going to take someone else dying in a fire?
I started asking questions and confronting the phony company.
What is your problem?
These blue dots represent all the officers that qualify for higher positions. That's about 300 in the department.
In danger of big limbs like this falling into the middle of the highway.
Clunkers are creating more cash for businesses like this. 2 days without sales tax revenue may further the already disappointing slump. Community improvements having a tough time keeping up. Well, new tonight in the first 10 minutes at 9, Jackson cops are still looking for 2 men who robbed a Jackson gas station at gunpoint. And now investigators are considering them armed and dangerous with shotguns. Rolling through red lights at the corner of Raymond Road and Belvedere. Got thousands caught on these cameras.
I've probably got one myself.
Daniel Slay works at Kennel Auto Sales. He watches it all go down.
By having the cameras here, it helped a whole lot. They're scared they'll get caught on the camera.
Slay says since the cameras started rolling 5 months back, accidents have gone way down.
I hadn't even seen a close call.
On top of that, he says it's driving away drug dealers, weary of a watchful eye. Now he hates to see the cameras close their shutters for good.
Very scared of it.
Getting caught on one of these cameras used to cost you $75, but Jackson Police Chief Malcolm McMillan says decreasing accidents at these intersections is priceless.
We came up with this as an idea for saving lives.
JPD conducted a study 2 months ago showing accidents at the intersections with cameras decreased by 68%. McMillan says those numbers might need some work, but Barber's ban brought any chance of that to a stop.
The longer that this would have stayed in force, the greater return.
Back on Belvedere and Raymond Road, Slay says hitting the stop button on these cameras will start a dangerous driving trend.
Taking them down it's going to get like it was before.
Racing under cameras that won't be rolling for long. Reporting in Jackson, I'm Jessica Larche, Fox 40 News at 9. The vast McNair family ranch isn't filled with Steve's breath of laughter today.
For him to be gone today, you know, it's just sad.
His big brother Fred looks on, eyes anchored in his little brother's spirit.
Hurting feeling right now to everybody here.
Fred was more like a father to Steve, their mother raising 5 boys all on her own in a house just a fraction of this.
He always wanted other people to have things that he didn't have coming up.
So when he hit it big in the NFL, he wanted Mom to have a place big enough for all her sacrifices. But in Steve fashion, he and Fred planned a prank letter leading to the surprise.
He write that letter and tell her that she had been fired and all this other kind of stuff. And he said just make a big joke at the end and just tell her that I just retired you.
All 647 acres, all for her.
Steve just went on, just pick a spot and we'll build your house.
Steve's mom, Lucille, is still too heartbroken to talk about her son on camera, but she tells me that this ranch meant more to her than Steve ever knew. You see, when she was just a little girl, she worked with her dad as a sharecropper and picked cotton on this very land, the same land Steve would make her dream home.
She was just driving down and Steve said she just broke out in tears.
Tears turn now to grief. Memories of the love linger.
This is what Steve loved. He loved this.
Fred says even with all the news surrounding his little brother's death, Mount Olive will remember the Titan who took his family and his hometown to heart.
After it's all said and done about his legacy here in this small town here at Mount Olive, they knew what Steve was about, the things that he did for Mount Olive, the things he did for Alcorn.
Fred says his little brother was like the captain of their family. Now he'll have to step in, hoping a wind of Air McNair will always sweep through. Reporting in Mount Olive, I'm Jessica Larche, Fox 40 News at 9. Barbara Ramsey is scared to go to sleep in her home on Wright Drive and Flora Street.
I've been in that house 9 years. For 9 years, no fire hydrant.
6 years ago, her fear became reality.
It was just blazing.
A fire ripped through her 90-year-old neighbor's house, George Wright. When firefighters got to the street, they couldn't find any hydrants.
By the time they found a working hydrant hundreds of feet away, it was too late. George Wright was dead. Only an empty lot remains.
He burned up in the house.
Fast forward 6 years, one thing has changed. More scorched houses near Ramsey's home.
I don't sleep at night. I'm up trying to see what's going to be set afire again.
Year after year, Ramsey and her neighbors have been calling and meeting with the fire and public works departments, crying for help. She walked me through street after street, no hydrants.
There's no hydrant on Dale Street.
Nope. How did they skip over us and not put any down?
Ramsey says last fall, Public Works Director Thelman Boyd met with her neighborhood. She says he promised to install a hydrant by the 1st of January.
We got promises and nobody showed up.
So I started looking for other hydrant holes in the city. First, pouring through 200 pages of hydrant locations, then a map. The little red dots represent fire hydrants, and there it was, a city annexed area in the northwest corner, not one single hydrant marker.
So I came straight to the annexed portion of Jackson off West County Line Road and Cynthia Road, armed with my papers and papers of fire hydrants. And we drove around for miles and miles, and there is not one. And taxpayers say their life is on the line.
No fire hydrant. If the house catches fire, we just gone.
Willie Rogers has been living on Cynthia Drive for 19 years, and for the last two,
Since we started paying taxes,
he's been paying taxes to the city of Jackson after it was annexed from Hinds County. He says there are no water lines, no sewage, no street lights, and no hydrants.
we're paying the taxes. Why can't we get service from the city?
Rogers and Ramsey on two different sides of the city, but at the center of one hot-button issue. Here's a breakdown of the hydrant holdup. It's the fire department's responsibility to inspect hydrants and report areas where they're missing. Then it's up to the public works department to install the hydrants. Jackson Fire Department spokesman Chief R.D. Simpson says they've turned over the list of areas in need more than once.
Well, in our business, seconds are eternities. Of course, there's a danger because if there's not any fire hydrants over there, it would be difficult for us to perform our job.
To get answers, I went straight to Public Works Director Thelman Boyd. Is it going to take someone else dying in a fire to get fire hydrants in that area?
We are in the process of installing a fire hydrant in that location so they will have sufficient fire protection.
Ramsey and her neighbors say they saw Public Works on Flora Street and Wright Drive just before Christmas last year, marking the street. Blue lines for water and green lines for sewage. 3 months later, just lines, no hydrants.
Well, we hope to have a fire hydrant in that location in the next 30 days.
Boyd says the expensive part is replacing smaller water lines with 8-inch lines for better pressure all over the city. It costs millions, and he says that's the reason for the 6-year holdup in Georgetown. But back in the annexed area, Boyd admits
There are no fire hydrants located there. We have a 5-year plan as funding become available to extend fire hydrants to those annexed areas.
5 years, Willie Rogers says he'll live in fear.
It's hard to get somebody out here, and that make a person feel real scary.
A scary reality Ramsey says she's willing to see through until she can sleep at night.
And I am going to stick it out. I'm determined.
Now, Public Works Director Thelman Boyd tells me there will be a hydrant on Miss Ramsey Street in 30 days, and that's exactly where I'll be to see if that promise is kept. This locator marker for a working fire hydrant here on the corner of Hollingsworth and Flora Street, just 2 blocks from Miss Ramsey's home. Now, we told you that we would be back here in this neighborhood in a month from when our investigation aired, and as you can see, progress is being made.
I never thought I would see it as quick as it has come. And it's all because of what Fox 40 did.